I'm Quinn with Secrets of the Stage. This is the place where we pull back the curtains and we dive into the creative process. And I'm really, really thrilled because today I have a wonderful friend of mine, Dr. Stephanie Duguid, who speaks on educational leadership, women's empowerment, so many wonderful things.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I
I'm
can't
thrilled to
believe
be
we're
here.
in this studio together. We have had quite a journey together,
Yes.
and you just never cease to amaze me at you're always changing and inspiring and speaking and motivating women and empowering them. Tell about your journey. You started in education itself, in the institution.
I did. So I do have 30 years in education. Half
That's
of that
the
is
Dr.
Yes,
Duguid.
Yes. I have 15 years in K-12 and 15 years in higher ed.
Wow.
So I've been a teacher in the classroom. I've been an administrator.
What's your favorite, being an administrator or in the classroom?
It kind of depends, because I also have the background of sports medicine. I was also an athletic trainer and a college athlete.
That's right.
So it all kind of comes together. But I don't know if there's one thing that's my favorite, because I love teaching. So
that seems to be a theme today, right?
It is. And as an administrator, I got to help more students, I feel, and there was still that educational aspect whenever they would come and talk to me, whether it was they don't understand how they do something at the institution where I was working, or they don't know their next steps for their future. We would sit down and talk about different things. But the best thing about any part of education is just working with the student, because they are the purpose of education.
Yes, and our future is with children, or not people.
Yes.
Educating themselves.
That's right.
Growing, getting smarter, figuring the world out, and sustainability and ingenuity and
that's right.
Creativity.
And what I found out in education is that so many people, when they think of that term, they think of going to classes, or they think of just learning a little bit of a skill for the workplace, if you will. But the education that we talk about are life skills.
Right.
So we are trying to make sure that they feel empowered. We
and
are
what
trying
do you,
to
what
make
do
sure.
you do to, how do you make them feel empowered?
So
I know how you make me feel empowered. I mean, I've watched your work. I know how we are together, and how you just bring stability and order and system, a systematic way of achieving one's goals.
Well, the best way that I can describe it is whenever I meet somebody, it's a conversation. It's getting to know them. It's asking the questions.
Right.
And just as you want to get to know somebody else, you've got to learn about them and be willing to listen to them through those active listening skills and really hearing what they're saying. And then ask more questions. And the more you get to know about somebody, the more you realize where the areas are where maybe they need some support. And even if it's just, oh my goodness, you're doing such amazing work, I'm here to support you. Or thinking about their mindset. If their mind is thinking that, this is a negative path, but going, but let's look at the positive side.
Right.
And really believe in you. And so it's a lot of mindset work. It's a lot of focus. It's a lot of that conversation, just making sure that it's positive as opposed to negative. There's so much negativity in the world.
I know, we do not need more.
We do not need any more negativity. So that's one of the huge areas that I really focus on. Is it's not just leadership skills that we're working on, it's positive leadership skills. Because
and why is your focus only on women?
Well, I was a woman in education, so typically you are best made to serve the people you once were. And so
you're typically made to serve the people
that you once were.
I never heard that before. I love that.
And so as a woman in education, and I often struggled in leadership positions or getting into leadership positions, one, because I was a woman, but also I tend to be
a beautiful, powerful woman.
But I tend to be a stronger type leader, and that sometimes threatens and offends others, and they sometimes are scared to work with me.
Wow.
But a lot of individuals who are, especially in education, they get moved up to the next position because they've done great where they are, but that next position has a need for leadership skills, which they're not trained in.
Interesting.
And
so can you give an example of going from what position, being in the classroom to what, administration? Is that what you're talking about?
That's one way. There are so many individuals, and I don't know if you've ever talked with younger teachers, they can teach children all day long, but ask them to talk to an adult or talk in front of adults, and they have a big challenge doing it. because they're not confident and they're not very courageous in their own actions and abilities in front of their peers. And so whenever we talk about leadership, leadership does not have to be a position or title. Leadership is the way that you carry yourself and you treat others. You know, John Maxwell always said leadership is influence.
Right.
And influence is leadership. And so that's
that
the
is
way.
So true. That is so true.
That's
I never
the way,
thought
yes, that you really influence others is the way that you treat them. So it could be somebody that is just starting in the classroom and they're wanting to be able to lead their students better. Or it's somebody that's in the classroom and they want to go into that teacher lead role or into an administrative role, or if they're a college professor, they want to become a dean or they want to become a vice president.
Wow.
So it's any of those challenges and transitions that people are facing, and sometimes they're making decisions that aren't really the decisions that they want to make. They're doing it because somebody else is wanting them to do it.
Wow.
So the key is to really know your own purpose.
That is such. You're striking a chord for me because I love my mother. She's amazing and very powerful. But I spent so much of my life. I guess there's a thing where people, you know, are do-gooders, or they please because they are expected to please.
Right.
And my mom, I mean, this is a silly example, but she wanted me to. I wanted to be a singer, but she wanted me to sing opera because that's what she loved, and I studied opera and I liked it, but it didn't have the, you know,
It didn't light your fire.
No, the tulips didn't rise.
Yes, that's right.
So, you know, and it was the moment I made that decision to follow my, you know, chalice or bliss or what that thing, whatever it was, I didn't know where it was going to go, but that was going to lead me to find my voice.
Right. And that's exactly what happens is most individuals, as they're growing up, they talk to their parents, and a lot of times their parents have their own ideas of what they want their kids to do. There are other parents that, you know, ask what the child wants to do, but some try to direct the way. And a lot of times that's not the direction that they want to go.
Have you seen a shift from like back in the day, like when we were in school? I mean, I don't want to put you in the same category with me, but because I work with a lot of younger people in the theater now, you know, I don't know what they are, Gen something or
right.
But they seem more specific about how they want to live, where they want to live, how they want to make money. We were like, I was washing dishes and working my parents' restaurants. You know, these kids are entrepreneurial. They're they have a sense of entitlement. We paid our dues.
Right.
So how have you seen that in your field?
There has been a big transition. Way back when, there wasn't social media. There wasn't instant gratification. You know, right now you ask somebody for a conversation on a cell phone and they respond right back to you.
Right.
Before, you had to memorize the number, you had to dial the
or write a
Rolodex
letter
phone,
or a postcard.
That's right, put a stamp on it, wait a few days. And so we didn't have
still do that, though.
I do too. I write handwritten thank you notes.
I do too. I'm so corny.
But people love that.
They do.
That is genuine.
They do.
And so whenever you have these students that don't have to wait for anything, they get a response right away. They have Google, they have ChatGPT now, they have all of these other things. And institutions have changed. You know, you and I grew up watching our parents. That was as big as we went.
Yeah.
But now they're able to see globally what's going on around the world at the click of a button.
But how do they even know what's real and what's not? That's a stupid question, but
it's not a stupid
how
question.
Do we
it's
know?
a very valid
I don't
question. Know. Well, and some of it is by trial and error. And what's happening now with schools is that students are shopping around. So it's no longer okay to say, hey, this school's in my community, let me go there. It's, hey, this is what I want now. Where can the school service what I need to do?
But that's
because
smart.
Online is so amazing out there.
Right.
Part of the things that I teach when I do empowering women is knowing your purpose, finding your vision, learning how to deal with conflict management with grace, also learning how to speak with one another, and then also what do you do whenever you come up to a barrier or resistance? Is how do you pursue and persevere? Because a lot of people, they go, oh, I've got resistance, I'm going to go the other direction, and they quit.
Right. What would you say? What would you say are the qualities of a leader, and what is the difference between feminine leadership and masculine leadership.
There are so many pieces to leadership that people assume that they like the power, and that is usually the masculine side. But the women, it's more of the transformational. What can I do to help somebody? Because we're helpers, we're servant leaders. And so looking at the empathy piece, realizing that the people you're working with are humans, so humanizing it. It's not always about the policy. It's about the interpretation of the policy for what the best outcome could be. And so whenever you are a leader, one of the key things is to get to know your folks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
from
the best thing.
From the top to the bottom. To the bottom. Or from the bottom to the top.
That's right.
Because hopefully they'll rise.
That's right. That's right. And then always treat them with respect. And all of that is great, but then the way that you transmit that information is through communication. So communication is one of the key components, the way that you speak to somebody. And what I found is that there are different ways that people speak to each other based on their personalities.
Can talk. I know. I do know that. I want you to. Let's riff on that.
I have a podcast.
You do?
Yes,
Tell
I
them
do.
where they can.
So,
where is your podcast? Go to the camera.
Yeah. So I have a radio show that's just shifted over to a podcast called Empowering Women in Educational Leadership, and you can go to my website www.drstephanieduguid.com, and so we'll get that out there.
Yes.
But the key to that podcast is that I've had some amazing leaders in education, whether they're in the tech education, whether they're in higher ed, K-12, and one of the women, she said, the best thing that I could give advice to somebody who is going into leadership is to make sure you have your own tribe.
Yes.
And so it's not just the tribe of immediate people that you work with. She's saying, you know, find the people that really bring the best out of you, no matter where they are. If it's in finance, or if it's an organization, or if it's in communication, find your tribe. And it's better if it's not somebody that's right around you, because they'll be honest with you. And you need that.
Yes.
But at the same time, you have to be willing to listen to what other people say and then make some adjustments along the way.
I did one of those 21-day challenges with Deepak Chopra with some of my friends. And there was this one a couple days ago about make a list of people that make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe then really sit with why those people are making you uncomfortable. I mean, it could be they're just weird and they make you uncomfortable, but it could be that, and I know that some of them are that, but some of them they're making you uncomfortable because they're teachers. You know, they have something to teach you or show you about yourself that you're not recognizing. And I was like, wow, what a way of thinking about that. You know, because usually when we're uncomfortable, we're repelled and we move away.
Right, and some could be that too. You know, it's just really looking at your list to see how they make you feel.
Yeah, but sometimes if it's somebody that's like, oh, that person's more successful than me, or I feel less than, maybe I need to look into that and say, oh, I can have all that too and more or different.
Right, because one of the things that women tend to do is they tend to compare.
Yeah.
And so they're always looking at the next person. Yes, they're always wanting to compare, and it becomes a jealous piece.
Right.
But I encourage all the women out there, instead of looking at it as jealousy, look at it as a challenge.
Yes.
You know, what do I need to do to get to that level? How do I need to change to get to that level? There's so much value that you bring.
Oh,
and so make sure that you see it as an opportunity for you to share your value with those individuals. Now, if they don't see your value right now, that's okay. But they're going to see your value.
Yeah.
And so don't stop.
Right.
Don't stand back, because shame on me if I don't want to share my value with somebody else and see how I can add value to whatever they have.
Right.
So,
which you do.
So think of it as adding value.
I love that. I love adding value.
That's right.
And that we're here to serve.
That's
that we're
right.
here to give and help one another. I think that that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
In your professional speaking career, in your consulting, what are the different ways you do workshops, you do keynotes, you do your podcast? It was a radio show, now it's a podcast. Tell what each of these components are and what the audience would experience. Let's say they hired you for a workshop.
So workshops are typically 3 to 5 hours, and it is an engaging type workshop.
So you're transforming them?
So it can be a few different ways. It can be a focusing on women empowerment for leadership positions, or I also do things on communication. I also have one on positive mindset, another one on positive leadership and positive teamwork. So, you know, everybody is like, oh, she's just this positive person, you know, Pollyanna positive, but that's not what it is at all.
No.
It is focusing on how can we really elevate those that are around us, because you want to see the best and promote the best for everybody that you're close to. You want to give yourself the best team that you're working with. And if somebody is part of a culture that's positive, if they feel like they have positive aspects of their life, if they feel like they can be more creative because they feel that you trust them and they can be more innovative, that only helps the institution or the company.
Yes, of course.
And so we also know that statistically, if you're positive, you're less likely to get sick.
Right, and you live longer.
And you live longer.
And
it's
you look
100%,
better.
that's right.
You
and
look
you don't
better.
see it on your face.
Right.
And the way that you treat others, you're not taking your negativity out on others. So all of those things are part of being that positive individual. So all of those are workshops that are 3 to 5 hours. And then, of course, with my educational background, I do a lot with instructional design and curriculum development.
What is
and
instructional
all of those.
design?
So instructional
Sorry,
design.
I'm
Yeah,
a
that's
layman.
okay. No, that's perfect. So coming from education, not from education.
Right? I'm from entertainment.
That's right. Instructional design is taking a topic that you want to teach somebody and figuring out how you teach that so that they can receive the information.
Oh, great. Just like that's how I write a show.
Basically, but you do it for entertainment values,
Right.
and you make sure that there are stories along the way,
Right.
and you make sure there are key points that you want to enhance, and then you
Okay.
make sure that they're not bored along the way, so you're changing
Right.
as you go along the way that you're sharing the information. And all of this, everything in education, you know, started with my mom, and she was a high school teacher for 40 years.
Wow, what did she teach?
Government, economics, and leadership.
So yeah, so it's in your DNA.
Well, and she was that teacher
And the glam
Yeah,
part is
oh my
in your-
gosh. So she was that teacher that the students resonated with.
Right.
And she would want to help them. So if they were hard, you know, didn't have any money for food or for rent, then she would give them odd jobs so that she could pay them to do something. If I remember one student in particular, he was in an abusive home, and I remember I was in the car with my mom and we drove up to his house. He was running out. Somebody was chasing him with a baseball bat. He jumped in our car and he lived with us for the rest of the year. Well, when I finally got into education, I was in my 3rd day of teaching, and she had sent me this great bouquet of flowers, you know, congratulating me.
Aww.
And that night, unfortunately, she was in a car accident and died. And she was 61 years old and I was 27.
Oh
and so that was very difficult. That was on August 23rd of 2001. And so that was just, my world came crashing down. And she was my mentor, and she's the one that we talked about future plans together, and I'd always promised her I'd go and get my doctorate. And so.
And you did.
And I did.
Good for you.
And so I did that, and then I was in education, and it was really hard because.
How long did it take you to get your doctorate?
It took me 3 years. But I went straight through 3 years. You've got 10 years to do it, but 3 years is the minimum. Yeah.
You super.
I was
humaned it.
focused on getting it done.
Wow.
Yep. And so Mom being my mentor, you know, that was really hard because I wanted somebody that I could talk to about things, and I didn't have anybody. And I didn't want anybody else to go through that. And so that's where I really started mentoring other people.
Beautiful.
Is because I wanted to help do what my mother had done so well for me.
And you've written books.
I've written a few books.
What
Now,
are the titles of
so,
your books? And tell us about the books.
Yes. So the first one, and this is another story along with Mom. I told you that she always helped out her students. She had one student that was a bit of a bigger girl like my mom was. Well, unbeknownst to me, my mother gave her all of our family recipes so that she could type them up. That was going to be her little job that she did.
How wonderful.
And this was back in 2001, just before Mom passed away. And so 20 years after my mother passed away, I receive a package from the student that's handwritten recipes from our entire family.
What a gift.
From, you know, my dad's side, from my mom's side. You know, and here's the comical thing. You know I don't cook. My mother didn't cook either.
Your husband
but
cooks.
My husband cooks, but she has all these recipes.
Wow.
And so I ended up having a dream one night, and I said, I just have to put this out there. And so I wrote a book, and I wrote the story of it in the beginning, and it is an 100 recipe book that's 192 pages.
Wow.
And it's called Recipes from a Texas Angel in Heaven. And then I have 2 other books that I wrote, and they're smaller books about mom. One was Texas Angel Part 1, Texas Angel Part 2. The first one's about life lessons, 4 life lessons that I learned from her. And then the other one is about 5 ways to connect with folks. And so wrote those. And then I was most recently part of an anthology called Dream to Rise that is full of 19 authors that tell their story of, loss in love or illness or addiction, and how they came to rise from that. So that was just published on Amazon in December.
Congratulations. That is so exciting. That's so exciting.
Thank you. So there's a lot of things that come out from, mom.
How long did it take you to be able to write about her?
After
her
passing. I didn't start writing until probably 2 or 3 years ago, because it just wasn't a part of what I was doing. The recipes made me start writing again. Not that I wouldn't have, because I'd always wanted to write a book.
Right.
But it just took me that long to start this creative process, because that's when I decided to step out and really do the empowering piece.
Where you stepped out of the institutional
I decided
education
to start stepping out of that
on your own, and now you're doing keynotes.
Yes, I'm doing keynotes.
You're like every week you're at a different conference. I can't keep up with you. I'm like, when are we going to get to talk?
Yeah, so I've had...
We do gal pal talking once a week.
I do work with some institutions for their fall convocations.
It sounds so weird, institutions. I mean, they're
colleges,
these fabulous colleges and universities.
Well, and they are, because you've got colleges, and a lot of people think of colleges. In Mississippi, we have community colleges, which are 2-year colleges, and the universities are the 4-year universities. So when you say institution, it just encompasses all of it.
Yeah,
Or K-12
that's
or
my
higher
word
ed.
of the day, institution.
Institution.
And what else? I mean, what are other ways that so tell about your podcast.
Yes, so my podcast is Empowering Women in Educational Leadership, and I've had individuals. I've had the president of Mississippi University for Women on there. I've had the president of Lone Star College Tomball. I had this amazing 2nd grade teacher from one of our local schools.
Oh, how wonderful. I remember my 2nd grade teacher.
Oh, and she is incredible. She is a national board certified teacher, and she does whole brain learning in her classroom.
What does that mean, whole brain?
So whole brain means that anytime you have a lesson in her class, there's movement involved, there's rhythm involved, and there's an action that your body. Yes. So she was
it's like me. That's my process.
Yes. And she has flex seating in her classroom. So if you need to stand or sit on a yoga ball, or if you need to lay on the plush rug. Yes.
Wow, education's come a long way.
Well, not everybody's like that, but she is fantastic. And then I've even had the executive director of the National Council for History Educators on there.
Wonderful.
And the
where can people go to hear?
Yes.
Do they subscribe to your podcast, or do they pay for it?
They do not have to pay for it. So it's through Voice America, and you can find them on voiceamerica.com, the empowerment channel.
All right.
And so they're also on my website, drstephanieduguid.com. I have a link that goes right over to the radio shows and the upcoming podcasts.
Oh, great.
So right now, I was doing the radio show live every single week, and you know how it is.
I know. I know.
But every week I would have a live show from my home, and I would do the Zoom with somebody else wherever they were in the country.
How wonderful. We were doing that here at we were doing that at M&N. Richard and I were doing it during, Richard's my technical director here in the studio at M&N, and I can't believe all the things we did through COVID, and and now here we are in this beautiful studio.
Yeah, so this is fantastic.
Yes.
It's just so beautiful to be here. But
yes.
The network or the show is, you can stream. It's on demand. So every show that I've done is on demand on the Voice America channel.
Perfect.
And again on my website. So
right.
It's all about empowering women. I've even had, I actually went to high school with Allie and Andrea. They have different last names, but it was Allie and Andrea Costa. They were twins. They were cheerleaders. And one of them was legally blind.
Wow.
But she was the flyer. So if anybody knows the flyer, the one that gets thrown up.
And how did she know where to go?
She's just incredible.
She just trusted.
So, they went their separate ways after college. They got married and had their kids and all those things. Then they came back, and they are the Texas twins that now run Legacy Cheer and Dance. And so I had them on my show because they have a program, it's called L3, which is really Love, Lead, Legacy, which is empowering young women through cheer. And so they were some of my guests that I had on the show as well. So it's just been incredible,
that's
the
beautiful.
variety of folks that we've had on there. And so many people are just so gracious to share their information and their experiences. And what it helps you do is realize that no matter where you come from, no matter what position you're in, how elevated or not, we're all the same.
We're all the same, yeah.
We're all in this together. We all have the same experiences.
What tips could you, what would be 3 takeaways that you could, before I ask you that, what if you're a man and they want leadership from you? Can they call?
Sure, they can call. They can come to any of my workshops that I have. You know, I tend to do one-on-one mentoring with women. Because again, you're best serving the person you once were.
Right.
And so that's just the easiest way for me to work through it. It's not that you have to be a man versus a woman, but that's just the area that I'm comfortable with.
Right.
But if somebody would want to work with me, then I'm happy to work with them and do some one-on-one coaching with them.
Give me some takeaways that you would like, so, you know, like maybe 3 words of wisdom or 3 ideas for our audiences to take away so that they can start implementing today.
You have to decide that you want to make a change in your life to be better or worse. And unless you're ready to make that decision, you're not going to grow. But it's also making sure that you're very focused on what is your purpose, because purpose is passion.
Purpose is passion, definitely.
And then what is your vision? And it has to be your vision. And whenever you think about your vision, you have to think about it in such detail that you feel it, that you experience it, that when you close your eyes, you can see exactly where you are, and you imagine yourself going through the processes to get there. And not just the good processes, the bad ones too. Because that way, when you come up to resistance, you've already thought about how you're going to overcome it, and so you're going to be more successful.
Yes.
And then the key is to just believe in yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
I love it.
Believe in you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you. I'm Quinn Lemley with Secrets of the Stage, and I would want you to be a part of my community. Visit me at quinnlemley.com. Subscribe to my mailing list so you hear the latest in performances and workshops and speaking engagements and Secrets of the Stage. And I'd love to hear from you and have you be a part of my community. You can visit me on Instagram. We talk back and forth at Instagram at Quinn Lemley, and of course Facebook, The World of Quinn Lemley. Until next time, I'm Quinn Lemley on MNN with Secrets of the Stage. We air the first Sunday of every month at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on MNN.org, on the Culture Channel 4, or at quinnlemley.com.